So, let's find out what my top 10 worst matches is. Every single boxing match in WWE. This includes the Brawl For All from 1999 and Mr. T versus Roddy Piper. Now, I might be the only person that feels this way, but anytime you take two completely different sports and you combine them in some crazy fashion, it never comes out well. You can't take a football and use it as a basketball. You can't take a basketball and use it as a football. You can't play baseball in a hockey rink. I don't know. You can't make it work. And I feel the exact same way when it comes to boxing and wrestling. It's just two completely different sports that just don't mix. I don't think any boxing match I've seen in wrestling, let alone the WWE, has been good. They've all been pretty freaking bad. When I talk about the Brawl For All, those of you who don't know what that is, in 1999, during a time where Vince McMahon and the WWF was trying to be a variety show and do different things like the XFL, oh dear God, they came up with a boxing tournament called the Brawl For All. They had wrestlers who were not trained boxers literally fighting in boxing matches. It was terrible. It was a disaster. These matches were garbage. There was a guy named Bart Gunn who became very popular during this time. He went out there and destroyed all the wrestlers who were not trained boxers. But then, after getting all that build up, he fights an actual professional boxer, Butterbean, and gets destroyed in minutes. It was a disaster, as you can imagine. The other match on the list I had was Mr. T versus Piper. And there's a side of me that doesn't want to really hate this match, but it's a bad match. It is a chore to sit through. And yes, Piper is in it. And dear God, God bless him, he did his best to make this work. It just didn't work. The crowd did not know how to receive it. It was slow. Mr. T was out of shape, nowhere close to being in the shape he was a year ago when they did that match at WrestleMania 1. And I know it's a continuation of that feud. It's just not a good match. Dave Meltzer gave it a -5. I don't think it's that bad. But yeah, anytime you mix boxing and wrestling, it doesn't work. That's just my opinion. The Royal Rumble 2015. Before any of you assume what I know you're going to assume, the misconception about this match is that fans are just mad that Daniel Bryan did not win. I would argue that even if he did win, they would tolerate it because their favorite won, but the match would still be a shitty match. No matter how you defend it, this is definitely the absolute worst Rumble in history. With 2014, which was clearly a bad Rumble too, they brought in Batista hoping that he'd be this big babyface to give them a great WrestleMania main event, and the guy just did not connect. And you can't blame that on WWE per se. That kind of falls on Batista. He just did not do a good job of connecting with the audience. But at the end of the day, man, it all worked out. This came during a time where Bryan was in a feud with the Authority. It just fit right in with the storyline. And Daniel Bryan got his big WrestleMania 30 moment. They took the heat from Rumble 2014, used that to turn Batista heel, bring back Evolution, make those big obstacles for Bryan at WrestleMania 30 to put him over, and then had enough to do a feud with the Shield afterwards. So I can't hate Rumble 2014, despite it being bad. 2015 though, there is no excuse. Everything about Royal Rumble 2015 was a disaster. It made the company look bad. Cancel WWE Network trended for like 2 days. It was terrible. The superstars involved looked bad. All of them came out looking weak because they all got kicked out by Big Show and Kane past their prime. Then on top of that, despite the booking of the match, you chose to take the returning hero, Daniel Bryan, who fans were absolutely invested in. They watched this guy have the biggest moment of his career and then lose the title to injury. And then during that time, he lost his father. His favorite fan died. Connor, the Crusher, had to go 9 months not wrestling. He returns with all the sympathy in the world, and the fans wanted to see this guy get back his glory. What they did here, he comes in at number 10 and just gets unceremoniously eliminated, just like he's nothing. Did they think the fans would be okay with that? I don't see what they were thinking. Someone told me they thought, well, maybe if they got rid of him early, the fans could get it out of their system and they can move on. And what gets me is, during the match, Michael Cole made the comment, "I know it hurts." Which lets me know, did they know the fans would be pissed off? Actually, they had to have known, because they brought The Rock in! They brought The Rock in so he could nerf the reaction they knew they were going to get. Which leads me to Roman Reigns, who I think is the biggest victim out of all of this. Because I think Roman Reigns, with the right tools, the right booking, the right character, could be a top star. The problem is, they pushed him at the wrong time. And of course, the fans rejected him, especially in this damn match. Well, the last 4 were Reigns, Rusev, Kane, and Big Show. Not Ambrose, not Ziggler, definitely not Bryan, not Bray Wyatt. None of the top interesting characters. As a Daniel Bryan fan, I'm kinda happy he didn't win this Royal Rumble. I'll even go as far as to say, I wish Bryan did not even come back. At all. And just returned at WrestleMania. Or returned at Fastlane to have that match. This was a terrible fucking match. There's only been a few matches in history that infuriated me. This is one of them. There's also only been a few matches to get a "We Want Refund" chant. This is one of them. The crowd was chanting bullshit. We want refunds. They were pissed. WWE deliberately gave them exactly what they didn't want. And they should be ashamed of themselves. Chamber of Horrors match back in 1991. Let's just say this match was so bad, Jim Ross had to get a lobotomy. Not really. But he said that. This was a terrible match. How do I describe it? I mean, imagine an Elimination Chamber match. It's a big cage where the object of the match is to strap your opponent to an electric chair and electrocute them. I am not kidding. The match featured the Steiner brothers, Sting, Cactus Jack, Abdullah the Butcher, Vader, and the Diamond Stud. And they all fought to electrocute an opponent. That's it. Nothing came from it. It was just, it was bad. You can't do that kind of crap in wrestling because once you do it, he would be dead. It's on Botchamania. Go watch it. There's actually a part in the match where the switch to fry someone in the chair fell down somewhere in the match. And I think Cactus Jack had to put it back up when no one was watching. This was a shitty match. Definitely one of the worst. Al Snow versus Big Boss Man, Hardcore Championship, Kennel from Hell match. Unforgiven, 1999. The worst gimmick match to ever happen in wrestling. And it just happens to be one of the worst matches I've ever seen. This came from the dark recesses of Vince Russo's mind. And I am shocked this made TV. The entire storyline was garbage. The match was garbage. And everything about it was just bad. So, Al Snow, for some reason, dropped Head. Don't ask why. He replaced Head with a chihuahua named Pepper, who got abducted by Big Boss Man, who promised to return the dog if you give him a Hardcore Championship shot. Then, one night on SmackDown, he brought him to his hotel room and fed him some food. Al Snow ate it, and then Big Boss Man revealed it to be his pet chihuahua Pepper, which then led to them having a Kennel from Hell match. Yeah, this is during the Attitude Era, guys, I know. The match consists of 2 cages. A regular cage, and then a Hell in a Cell around that, and then in between the structures, pit bulls. Savage dogs, if anything else. And if they got outside, the dogs would try to eat their legs off and stuff. Well, the dogs they brought in were everything but savage dogs. They were fighting each other, going to sleep, peeing and pooping. It was a terrible match. Al Snow won, and it was the end of a very terrible feud. You know, we look back on the Attitude Era with rose-tinted glasses, as we should, because characters and storylines. And I'll say this, at least it has a storyline, and I think fans nowadays would appreciate this match because it has a storyline. This just goes to show you that even the Attitude Era had some crappy freaking matches. Jeff Hardy versus Sting. TNA Victory Road 2011. At the time, people were saying this match would put TNA out of business. I don't think we've had a match fans have claimed would put it out of business. This is the only match that got that moniker. Jeff Hardy, who was the world champion at the time, holding a very crappy belt by the way, he's had a history with drugs. For a time period, it seemed like he got his act together. He was WWE's top star at one point actually. You would think, having that responsibility, he would learn from his mistakes and never go back to that life. Well, he went out there, stumbling, clearly high on something. He was a mess. And then afterwards, Eric Bischoff came out. Clearly just there so he can check on Jeff to make sure he's in his right mind. But what ended up happening is he called an audible right there and told Sting to go home early because Jeff Hardy was not in any condition to wrestle. Promo ends, the match starts. Jeff Hardy spends 2 minutes with his shirt teasing to throw it at the audience and then doesn't throw it. He teases, and then he doesn't do it, and then he teases, and then he just drops it. Sting hits him with the Scorpion Death Drop and beats him. It was, oh my god, it was bad. It was a black mark on TNA. If they ever do the Rise and Fall of TNA DVD, this will be up there as perhaps one of the worst matches they've done. This was a disaster. There is no debating it because Sting agrees it was a disaster. I think some fan during the match yelled at Sting, "That match sucked!" And Sting just turned around and said, "I agree. We can't put this all on Jeff Hardy." I blame the company for not only enabling Jeff Hardy to be this way, but for letting him go out there and wrestle in this condition. That is just poor management on TNA's part. And as a result, we got one of the worst matches to ever happen in wrestling. Hollywood Hulk Hogan versus the Ultimate Warrior, Halloween Havoc 1998. Yeah, I just so happened to see this one as a kid, and it was a crappy match to me as a kid. Out of all of the Hulk Hogan matches I've seen, this is the worst one. It's funny to me because Warrior and Hogan have one of the best matches in wrestling history and one of the worst matches in wrestling history. I just think that's completely hilarious, but also embarrassing. Just a bad match. It was draggy, it was sloppy. Some guy named Horace Hogan, who was supposed to be Hogan's relative, brother or something, cousin, came in at the end of the match and attacked Warrior and Hogan beat him. But during the match, I think Hogan tried to create a fireball and throw it at Warrior, and it just erupted in his face, burned his eyebrows off. It was a shit fest. They brought the Warrior in so Hogan could get his win back, because he lost to him at WrestleMania 6. I am so sorry for anyone that watched this. What an embarrassment. Two of the biggest legends of all time. For these guys to have such a legendary match at WrestleMania 6, to then go and have this crap fest. No excuse. Goldberg versus Brock Lesnar at WrestleMania 20. This is one of those matches that get me angry. Let me tell you why. When this match first was announced, I was hyped. It was a dream match for many people back then. You had two of wrestling's greatest android cyborg monsters that just ran through their rosters. Goldberg went 173 matches undefeated. Nobody could beat him for almost 2 years. He comes to WWE, he confronts Brock Lesnar. When he first debuted in 2002, ran shot through the roster, won King of the Ring, and then beat The Rock for the World Championship in a matter of 2 freaking months. Destroyed The Undertaker in his own yard, Hell in a Cell, beat Kurt Angle, beat Big Show, beat everyone he faced. He was a monster. And then the build to the match was excellent. It was so awesome. You had Goldberg and Lesnar confront each other at Rumble 2004 actually. And during the Rumble, Goldberg threatened Lesnar he was gonna come after his championship. So Lesnar interfered in the Rumble and purposely cost Goldberg the match. So then Goldberg showed up at No Way Out and helped Eddie Guerrero beat Lesnar for the title. And they built this match up as a match that could not be contained. They had to get Stone Cold Steve Austin to come and referee the match just so there could be order, because these two were going to destroy everything in their path. WWE did everything right when it came to the build and the presentation of this match. All they had to do was go out there and kill each other. And that's exactly what they didn't do. The story going into this match is that Brock Lesnar was leaving. He was sick of wrestling, he wanted out so he can go back to NFL. I don't remember the team, I think it was the Vikings, I don't know. He wanted to go back to NFL, and Goldberg just wanted to leave. So, instead of going out there and having the monster fight we knew they could have had and should have had, they went out there and stared at each other for like 5 minutes, then did some long-ass lockups, and had one of the slowest, boring, disappointing matches I have ever seen that the crowd turned on immediately. They booed both of them. It started off with them booing Lesnar and then cheering Goldberg, but then after the match started to suck, they booed both of them and cheered Austin. It was a disaster. It was a terrible match, and it pisses me off because it should have been an awesome match. But they deliberately had a terrible fucking match because they didn't give a crap. You can't blame this on WWE. You cannot blame this on the company. You can blame this on two people, Goldberg and Brock Lesnar, for not caring enough to at least have a good match and giving the fans what they want. Definitely one of the worst matches I have ever seen. Hollywood Hulk Hogan versus Kevin Nash, the finger poke of doom. Do I really need to say much about this one? If you've been a long-time fan of wrestling, even if you haven't, if you've seen the DVDs, if you have the WWE Network, you will know that this was the turning point of the Monday Night Wars, and this was the start, the beginning of the fall for WCW. What a slap in the face to the audience. What a slap in the face to wrestling. The story going into this is that since Kevin Nash ended Goldberg's streak, which was also stupid, he then challenges Hulk Hogan to a championship match in front of a large crowd of 40,000 fans at the Georgia Dome. They go out there, Hogan takes his big ass finger, pokes, and this 7-foot tall, over 300-pound guy falls down. And Hogan pins him 1, 2, 3. The match is over in 10 seconds. That crowd went silent. 40,000 fans went silent. And they laughed and laughed and laughed, talking about ha 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 ha, we fooled you. We get mad at WWE for booking 18 seconds. This is worse. At least Bryan got something out of that match. I can forgive 18 seconds. This is unforgivable. This was stupid. As a kid watching this, I remember watching this, and I can remember turning over to see Mankind win the World Championship on the very same night. Oh yeah, and by the way, Goldberg came out afterwards and got destroyed by Kevin Nash and Hogan. So this segment not only gave us one of the worst matches in history, but it also continued the downfall of the only megastar they had, Goldberg. This is yet again an example of Kevin Nash and Hulk Hogan just throwing their weight around because they could. They had creative freedom in their contracts. That was the stupidest thing Eric Bischoff ever came up with. He allowed them to do whatever the hell they wanted, and this is what we got. And in my personal opinion, WCW never recovered from this. This was it. Following this, the war was over. It didn't end until like 2001, but this was it. WCW's greatest enemy was not WWF, it was themselves. WCW put WCW out of business. Jenna versus Sharmell, TNA Victory Road 2009. You ever wonder why men say women shouldn't be wrestling? You ever wonder why someone like Greg Valentine thinks the way he does? Look no further than this match. This was awful, and this is why we shouldn't let anybody just get inside the ring. Let me just say this. Sharmell is not a bad talent. I think with the right wrestler, she could be carried to a decent match. But you watch this match, and it's not long, but it's painful. You see Jenna walk out in this skimpy outfit, not even attractive. It's all leopard. It's just, you just see her walk and go, oh, this is gonna hurt. And then you see how she enters the ring, and then you go, oh, this is gonna really hurt. This is gonna be painful. And it was. From the moment the bell rung until the end of the match, it was like having 10,000 needles go into your chest at once. It was painful to watch. Jenna did everything wrong. We give Eva Marie shit for not being able to wrestle. Eva Marie could be a legend compared to what Jenna Maraska was. She was terrible. I would shudder to think if they put her in there with someone worse than Sharmell. Not saying Sharmell was a good athlete to begin with, but Jesus Christ. This started the whole infamous -5 stars with Dave Meltzer and Brian Alvarez that became famous on the internet. It was just a terrible match. Jenna did everything wrong. She walked like a slug. She ran like an elephant. I don't know what the hell she was doing. I think Awesome Kong was out there. Somewhere during the match, she knocks out Sharmell, who had her weed pulled out. Jenna Maraska displays the absolute worst offense I've seen. It's the kind of offense you would see on a low-class porn flick. I am not joking. After Sharmell gets knocked out, Jenna Maraska rubs her vagina in Sharmell's face and then pins her with it. What were they thinking? Did TNA even train her? No, they didn't. They pretty much said, hey, go have a match with Sharmell. I wouldn't be shocked if that is exactly what they said. Go out there and have a random match with Sharmell, have fun. And what we got was the second worst match in wrestling history, in my opinion. Good luck finding one to replace this crap mess. Michael Cole versus Jerry the King Lawler at WrestleMania 27. I had the unfortunate pleasure of sitting through this entire feud. All of it. From the night Michael Cole turned heel and he started to insult Jerry the King Lawler for 2 hours straight for almost 8 to 9 months. Actually, longer than that, because he continued it until Jerry the King Lawler had a heart attack and then he backed off. I sat through Michael Cole and Jerry the King Lawler bickering, literally taking over the entire show and making it unbearable to watch every single Monday night. There's a difference between heel heat, as in I want to see this guy get beat up, and then there's get off of my TV, I hate watching you, I don't want to watch the show anymore kind of heat. That's the heat Michael Cole had. Michael Cole was the head commentator of WWE during a time where, first off, we were already pissed at them for taking away Jim Ross. Michael Cole was up there acting like an idiot, burying talent inside the ring, people that weren't John Cena, making them look stupid, just being obnoxious and pissing people off because he could, for no reason. So then they take Jerry the King Lawler and decide, let's have Jerry the King Lawler have a feud with The Miz for the World Championship. I am not kidding you. Jerry the King Lawler had a World Championship feud with The Miz that went from November to freaking February. They actually tried to make fans believe Jerry the King Lawler could be their world champion. Jesus Christ. He didn't win it, thank God, but Michael Cole, who was a huge fan of The Miz at the time, by the way, I remember that, screwed Jerry the King Lawler out of his championship shots, which then led to this match. After months of bickering, giving us a headache for 2 hours straight each week, they got their match announced at WrestleMania. And you know what? Going into it, I thought to myself, this is a match between two commentators. It can't go longer than 5 minutes. I thought about the hardcore evening gown match between Pat Patterson and Gerald Briscoe. That match was 5 minutes, and then it ended with Crash Holly getting the hardcore championship back. So I'm thinking this won't go long. It will be a 5-minute comedy fest. Well, bad comedy fest, but comedy fest where Jerry the King Lawler beats the shit out of Michael Cole and pins him 1, 2, 3. You know, they threw Austin in there and they had Jack Swagger in there to make it just a little bit easier for us to digest. Which I was thinking, you know what, fine. Do what you gotta do. Just get this out the way so we can end this and move on. A match that should have been 5 minutes went 30 fucking minutes long. 30 fucking minutes. With Michael Cole having a majority of the offense and carrying the match as the heel. It made no sense. It was stupid. It was unbelievable. It was a train wreck. They cut Bryan and Sheamus from this card so this match can have 30 minutes. When it didn't freaking need it. What makes this match worse above all other matches was that it took place at WrestleMania. This is the granddaddy of them all. This is supposed to be the holy grail of wrestling, the Super Bowl of wrestling. The best of the best come here to mark their name in history. Heroes become legends at WrestleMania. And these guys went out there and had the absolute worst match that can happen between two commentators, not wrestlers. Why are you giving commentators 30 minutes inside the fucking ring? Who thought that was a good idea? I don't know. And then shenanigans ensued. Jack Swagger got involved. Michael Cole got beat up eventually by Jerry the King Lawler. When that was happening, it was alright, but it was like 5 minutes out of 30. Jesus Christ. Strap down, ankle lock. Michael Cole taps out. Okay, then. This is where it gets really good. This is where it's just freaking awesome. The anonymous GM, yeah, remember that? The anonymous GM popped up and decides to reverse the decision because he felt Stone Cold Steve Austin was abusing his power as the referee, therefore making Michael Cole the winner by disqualification. Really? Really? You made us sit through 8 months of this stupid ass bickering to lead into a WrestleMania match that went 30 minutes between two commentators, not professional wrestlers, commentators, that ends in a DQ finish. This isn't Undertaker versus Johnny Gonzalez DQ finish. This is, let's have a DQ finish. Just have a DQ finish so we can continue the goddamn feud for 2 more months. I don't get what the whole point of this was. I'm sitting here, even right now in front of you, just baffled. Like, why did we do that? What was the point of this match? I can't figure it out. I get why WWE pushed Roman Reigns. I get 18 seconds. I don't like the finger poke of doom, but in a sick way, I get it. It's a heel turn. It's just a badly produced, insulting heel turn. I, for the life of me, cannot understand what the whole point of this match was. The heat that Michael Cole got from this match, he still has it to this day. It might have dropped a tad bit, but he still has that heat. This is an exact blueprint of how not to book a wrestling match. All parties involved came out looking stupid. Austin looked stupid. Jack Swagger looked stupid. It was just stupid. All around stupid. So yeah, that is my top 10 worst matches of all time. Do you agree with my list? Or do you disagree and have your own list? If you do, let me know down below. Because keep in mind, I have not seen every single match in wrestling history. So maybe there are worse matches out there that I haven't seen that could easily be top 10 worst matches of all time. If so, let's get a discussion going. But guys, thank you for watching this very long video. I hope you enjoyed it. You guys take care. Peace.